series. Today we have the pleasure of having Hannah Rudy, the new assistant director of bands at Kennesaw State University, which is our alma mater. So we're so happy to have you with us. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're great. We're so glad you're here.
Yes,
This is awesome.
yes. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from, your little bio, and everything like that.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm originally from Texas, but grew up in the Atlanta area, went to school in the Atlanta area, and then went to the University of Georgia for my undergraduate in music education. Go Dogs.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I'm excited to be back in Georgia country too. Yeah, and I taught 5 years in public school. I taught 1 year down in Lee County near Albany, and then taught 4 years in Douglas County at Chapel Hill High School, just west of Atlanta. So that's where all my teaching experience was in Georgia. And then applied for graduate school and did my master's in conducting and repertoire at the University of Colorado Boulder, which was fantastic. Great experience. And then came out to the University of Oklahoma to work with Dr. Simon and Dr. Hancock and pursue my DMA. So I'm currently ABD, finished all my exams and everything. I gotta write, the big paper now and finish up. But yeah, so that's where I am. And then pretty soon headed home to Georgia to work at Kennesaw, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yes, we cannot wait. I mean, you're already part of the family, but when you're officially part of the Hootie Hoo family, we're so excited for you. So you were talking about, the big paper. And I think we haven't really talked about the big paper on our podcast yet. So, like, please tell us, like, what's going on now? Because I know for me and some of our listeners, we want to know, like, how is that working? What is the things you have to do before it, during it, after it, all of that. So what's going on in your world right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, what's interesting is every university is different. So if you're planning on pursuing a doctoral degree in conducting or music ed or what have you, everywhere's different. I know at Colorado, I didn't experience it myself, but my colleagues in the studio had to do 6 dissertation projects that included a wide range of things that they had to do. And then here at OU, I've got to do a dissertation. And the process here is a little different from other places. Even within the School of Music, it's a little different. I've just set up a proposal, which is a lot of background research. And I guess let me rewind. Coming up with a topic itself is a really big thing. So for me, I wanted to dive into something that I wanted to know more about. I wanted to be stronger with my conducting or with my teaching. And so my teacher and I have had a lot of discussion about how conductors can be emotionally connected and more invested emotionally into the music they're conducting, and then how to portray that and bring their ensemble into that as well. Because we all know you've been in, most musicians, if not all, have had a musical experience that's been really, really meaningful to you and meant a lot and has a lot of emotion and feeling behind it. But then, there are concerts that, yeah, it was fun, but you just played the concert. So how do you plumb a score for emotive content and then share that through gesture with your ensemble? So that's where my research kicked off. And that's a really big, like, esoteric topic. Pretty abstract. So first, what I had to do was basically in this proposal, do a lot of the background research of, like, why is this necessary? Why is this going to be important to the field? And so I did a huge survey of literature of conducting textbooks, of undergraduate conducting curriculum, of other just conducting books in general. And the subject is broached very slightly of, yeah, you should feel something about the music. I'm like, all right, but how? Because, like, I can know in my head, I can study and study and study all these objective elements of the music, and know exactly how I want it to sound. But how do you inhabit those emotions as a conductor and really connect? So I put this big proposal together. It's a huge document. And then I had to do a whole defense for that. So I went before my committee and they were wonderful. They gave me such great perspective and feedback on it. My theory professor on my committee had a lot of opposing arguments that I hadn't thought of and were great. And he's like, at least acknowledge these and it makes your paper more well-rounded, and gave me some really cool different viewpoints to consider. So that's a whole thing in and of itself, is the proposal at OU.
Yeah.
And then, from here, because part of my project involves interviewing people, I had to go through a big process. I'm actually finishing it up like today, tomorrow, with the Institutional Review Board, because I'll be interviewing people and I have to have all these permissions and go through trainings to talk to live people, so I don't do anything fishy, I guess. So that's kind of where I am. And then the next steps after that approval is I'll be recruiting people. I've got criteria laid out for how I've selected people, and I'll be looking for people to interview kind of at the top of our field, from a wide array of backgrounds, and talk to them about, how do you emotionally invest as a conductor, and how do you share that? And the goal is to kind of find themes through what they tell me and be able to present promising practices to other conductors of like, hey, try this. So not like the method, but here's a way, here's some resources.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. Really.
That is extremely interesting. I know me and Anthony always make the joke that we're going to be ABD for 25 years before we finally turn that piece of paper in and be like, how about we just, let's see who lasts longer, this ABD, or you just gonna go ahead and give me my DMA?
Writing, not our strong suit. It's Lauren's strong suit. She will write you a whole book a day, while me and Michael will be sitting on the first sentence for a whole year, because that's just not that's just not.
This is my D.M.A. I had a question. That's a really cool dissertation topic, but I'm very interested to, you went through the path of being a collegiate band director. And I was wondering when that hits you in your education or your experience as a musician that you wanted to pursue that path.
Yeah. Well, when I was in undergrad at Georgia, John Lynch was the director of bands, and I just absolutely adore him. He's wonderful and amazing, a fantastic musician in person. And I loved how involved he was in all facets of the program. There were times he'd come out to Redcoats and like jump up on the podium with us and either occasionally yell things out at the band or work with us on our conducting. And so he was at football games, he was at marching band rehearsal. He worked with graduate and undergraduate conductors, observed student teachers. He really had his hand in everything. And it was so cool how involved he was. And I was like, I want to do that. How do I do that? So that was kind of the first time I was like, I think I want to do this. I want to work with future music educators and high level musicians. But I told myself when I graduated, I'm going to go teach. I'm really excited to go teach. And if I just fall in love with what I'm doing and I'm in like the perfect spot for me, then I'm not going to be mad if I don't go back to graduate school. But I was at a point where I was at Chapel Hill that I was looking for a little bit of a change, and I actually applied to some other jobs as well as applied to graduate school, and I was like a finalist for one job, and they happened to be on spring break when CU called me and offered me a spot. So it was timing, because I may have taken that other job.
Wow. Yeah, I'm always interested to see where people like find that little spark to make them shoot for, especially with like earning 3 degrees to get a job. I'm like, you're really passionate about this. So I like to know like where that comes from.
Everybody comes from different places, which is really, really cool about graduate school. I've met some amazing people from all over, and everybody has their own inspiration for doing it. But yeah, it's a lot of work. And when you guys were talking about being on your dissertation forever, I will give you a heads up. The school doesn't let you do that. Because typically there's I hate to spoil that for you, but
no, I'm glad you spoiled it for them.
No.
pop their dreams.
I have found loopholes in everything I've earned so far. So wait, I will hire a crack team of lawyers.
That is now on the record. I would
Right,
like
it's on the record.
on the
It's on the
record.
record.
I wish you the best with that endeavor. Yeah, no, it was actually like a scary thing. Like most universities have this, if not all, but I know here at OU the clock is 5 years. So I believe it's when you pass your exams, you have a total of 5 years.
Okay.
5 years.
That's more comfortable. You can write a chapter a year, or for me, you write it all in 5 days.
Yeah, I mean,
there'll be like 70% grammar errors throughout it. Like, it will be pretty bad, but it'll be something.
Why you gotta bust our bubbles? Okay, come.
I'm trying to put you back into reality.
No, but like some schools will like wipe your record if you don't get it done in time. Like your classes, your exams, all the work you did.
Right.
And that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
So I'm like, no, don't do that.
Oh my gosh. So one thing that I didn't hear, you were the drum major of the Redcoats, right?
I was, yeah, my senior year.
How was that experience? Did that because a lot of people like me, my first experience as being my love for conducting was being a drum major. So did that really kind of fester that I actually love doing this? How was your experience?
Oh my gosh. That was definitely an experience that I haven't really sat and thought about in a while. But yeah, I was a high school drum major and loved it. And then I did it in college, and it was just the most amazing thing. And I was on a team, there are 4 of us, and I had a great team. We played great music, and oh my gosh, just being in front of that ensemble, the sound was it was so much fun. I'll never forget our first show that year was like a classic show or classical music show, and it opened with William Tell, and then Can Music was really fun, auxiliary feature, and then it closed with the 4th movement of Dvorak's New World. And we kind of rotated around spots of who did what and who had center podium when, but I was like, sorry boys, I really want to call dibs on Dvorak because I'm a huge Dvorak fan. And that was just, I'll never forget that experience. It was, oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was so much fun. I was so nervous. I think the first time we did that show that I almost tripped getting up the ladder and heard people behind me gasp in the stands, which was really embarrassing. But but it was amazing, and getting to travel and perform with that band was just everybody's undergrad has such a special place in your heart. And I mean, Georgia itself, just UGA has a special place in my heart. And so being a drum major for that group was really a phenomenal experience.
We've had so many guests who come on and so many, I should say, basically all of them always talk about their education and their background and their upbringing that kind of made them who they are as a professional. And so for you going through all the degrees that you've gone through and are currently in, how has your education and the people within your education shaped you as a professional that who you are today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I definitely wouldn't be where I am or so much of who I am without all the phenomenal people I've worked with over the years. Oh man, it's gonna make me cry. I'm sitting here thinking about my professors and how much I've loved working with them, especially here at OU. And I'll never forget sitting in Dr. McKinney's office at Colorado, and I'm working on this. I very much beat myself up about things. I feel like I didn't have a strong rehearsal, and I'm ticked about it for the rest of the day. And not as much of I screwed up, I'm awful, but man, I didn't give them a good experience. I didn't give the ensemble a great experience, and I feel horrible. I feel like I let them down. And I'll never forget sitting in his office, and more than once he'd be like, all right, put the proverbial baseball bat down. And so he and I worked on that a lot, and he's such a phenomenal musician that, he, when you first start your graduate degree, you, I don't know, for me, I didn't quite know what I was getting into. I thought I did. I didn't. And so he was the first person that I really dove into music in a really different way. And it was so inspiring, and got to explore so many amazing pieces that I didn't know or just didn't have experience with. And that really opened my eyes to how much more is out there. And I started doing so much more research on just what's out there in the wind band world. And yeah, and then having the opportunity to work with those musicians at CU was fantastic. And then at OU, it's, oh my gosh, Dr. Simon is just amazing. And I wish I was like half as creative as she was. She's so inspiring to me. We she wants to draw the audience in such a visceral way, and it's so interesting. Like we did Elsa's last year for CBDNA before COVID, and at the end, oh, this was quite a project, but we had all across the front of the stage, we had from the rafters, we had rose petals coming down, and it was just, oh my god, it was beautiful. And did you see pictures of that? Or
I did, but
yeah.
the reason why my two friends are looking at me is because literally right here on the wall, there's two pieces that I hold so close to me, and one of them is Elsa's. It's literally on my what is this wall, and because that is the song. I have two pieces. One I want played at my wedding, which is Elsa's, and the other one at my funeral, which is Adagio for strings. And to hear just I'm pretty sure if I was there, like I honestly probably would have cried. Like I think I would have cried because just seeing that would have been so beautiful, beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was so powerful. I'll have to send you guys the video. We did a music video project.
Yes.
That was actually, yeah, it was separate from the performance. We used the rose petals again, and we did the bourgeoisie version. So we had a really big organ in Gothic Hall, and it's an amazing project. I'll send it to you guys. It was phenomenal. Yeah, if anybody else wants to check that out, University of Oklahoma Wind Symphony did Elsa's procession, and yeah, just look it up on YouTube. It was amazing. And these ideas are all Dr. Simon's brainchild, and we get to be a part of that. I mean, we helped. I got to learn so much about production. Like we produced an entire album last year. We ran CBDNA. We did this music video project, and yeah, just seeing her creativity and getting to work with her on these things. We did the Fireflies piece. Mason Bates. This is embarrassing. I'm blanking on the name. Was it just?
It's right on my side.
We have brain farts on here all the time.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
That's so embarrassing. But we did, and I actually saw a copy today. I was like cleaning out some stuff in my office of the electronics part. Rusty Air in Carolina. That was it. And we had a point in the piece where we blacked out the auditorium and we passed out little tiny glow balls to everybody in the audience. And we're like, this is your Firefly. And Dr. Simon had this whole thing. And like, okay, keep it tight in your hand. And when we tell you, we're gonna let them fly. And so everybody opened up their hands, and there were like fireflies all around the auditorium. And it was the coolest thing. So yeah, just all these things make me so excited to experiment and to draw the audience in and just make it such a creative and collaborative and heartfelt experience for the ensemble and the audience. So that's shaped me so much in the past 4 years. So
that's so interesting, the idea of bringing in this like other outside creative element into the concert hall, because I think a thing that we always talk about here is the lack of connection between current orchestras and the audiences who will be around in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? And we're seeing with our generation that it's multiple elements that we always need going on to be engaged with something, and the idea of bringing in the interactive like things of like, oh, you have to, because they're paying attention, then you have something where they're connected with it, they are a part of the music. And I love that idea, because some people could argue, oh, that takes away from it, but I'm like, no, it enhances it. I think it makes it an experience instead of a listening thing, and I think that's so cool. And I hopefully we see more of that coming out of everywhere. But I don't know, but I want to watch this video now of Elsa. I'm so interested in it.
Yeah, it's something I'd never really been exposed to, and just blew my mind. And we embarked, even in the midst of COVID, on another video project that'll hopefully be coming out. Sometime we're gonna have to finish it next school year, or they'll have to finish it next school year. Of Lift Every Voice, and just the image. We did all the audio this year, but and I don't know if they'll have to re-record next year, but just her ideas and her visions are so cool. And Yeah, I agree with you. It can, people say it can take away, but done well, it just makes it so much more.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
know, I that's honestly why I also love conducting so much. Is because I remember sitting in the audience, Dave Keeler, who you're going to be working with. He is such a, what is the word? Very into it, very just like his whole body's into it. And I remember just the first concert I ever went to when I was a freshman, and seeing all of this and just hearing the sound and the visual of him conducting. And I was like, whoa, like what is this? Where did this come from? I didn't know you could do something like that. And studying with him, it really kind of got my mind in different places. So now it's like, oh my gosh. So that's one of the reasons why I love conducting, because we bring that type of visual aspect. And then when we have other things too, it brings more to a performance. And I love that. I really do. So I have a question for you about you Georgia to Colorado to Oklahoma. How has it been as now a female conductor going through all this? Because as we know, the conducting world and all of it is a male dominated world. How has it been for you?
And I want to add on a more specific question about that. What challenges have you faced in terms of expectations that you think are expected from you of being a female conductor? Do you think you have to, play into those expectations, or do you think you have to overcome them and, try to like find a more masculine interpretation? Like, I'm interested in that idea.
Yeah, these are great questions. Yeah, like I feel like a lot of women in classical music, I've definitely encountered that. I'll never forget teaching high school and the first few football games. I mean, I'm wearing like a band polo, and I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, you must be the cheerleading coach," and I was like, "You don't want me to do that? Are you kidding me?" Like, no, 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 no. And even I had certain people in the school system that were like, a female head high school band director, like, are you kidding me? And I've had people be like, I mean, you can't tell I'm sitting right now, but like, you're like 5'2", no one's gonna take you seriously. I was like, want to bet? So I don't know, maybe I'm just a little headstrong sometimes, I don't know, but when I've had people that are like, I don't believe you're going to do this because you're just a little girl. Or I had band parents that were like, look, little girl. I was like, excuse me? Like, yeah.
First of all,
Adult.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into that. Anyways, I had some really fun conversations with parents sometimes. I loved so many, but so many had, yeah.
You love parents.
Yeah. You guys know.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's tough sometimes. But I think one of the things that kept me going was I loved being able to just do what I love, and then encourage other female students to go for it, whether it be in music or something else. Like, I was at a contest, and I remember walking out to go to like hospitality or something, and one of the band moms working there stopped me, and she goes, "Well, are you one of the directors?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Are you the head director?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Will you please talk to my daughter?" Because her band director told her she'll never teach anybody older than middle schoolers because she's a female. And I was like, oh, here's my number, here's my email. Like, you can do anything.
What year is this? Like 1900?
I remember because I worked for a female band director. I never had one, but I worked for one as my first job. And I would wear a band polo that clearly said brass instructor, clearly big bold letters. And they're like, "Are you the assistant band director or the head band director?" I'm like, "I'm in college. That's her. Don't look at me because I can't answer none of the questions you're looking for." And it's just like how easy it is to be looked over, how they're like, "Oh, okay, male with a beard, kind of, you gotta be doing it." And it like upset me when I was working. I was like, it's her.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And can you talk about that a little bit more? Where it's like, are you the head of a high school? You can only do middle school. Like, you're not the first person that I've talked to that someone has said that. Like, you are a female, you will only do middle school. You're this height, da da da. And I'm like, What? Can you talk about that just a little bit more? Because to me, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane to me. And I never had female band directors until I came here to work with Dr. Simon. And yeah, I just, it baffles me, honestly, in this day and age that people still think that way. I mean, most people in the band world know the name Mallory Thompson. She's been doing this a long time, and she's part of an incredible program, and she's an amazing musician. And I guess what I hate for her and what I hate for all female band directors is that you have that label of like, oh, well, you're a female band director. No, she's a band director, and she's a freaking awesome one. So yeah, it's frustrating to me. And I don't know. I think my view of it and what I want to continue to do as best I can is to combat that by just being the best I can be and working really hard to give my ensemble a great experience. So they walk away not thinking like, oh, well, it's just good for a girl, or some crap like that. But
Yeah.
I just want it to be a great experience. And that's what I encourage everybody to do, all my students that I work with. I'm like, just you do you, boo, and you like just kill it, and nobody can say anything. So yeah, it's very frustrating to me, and I still deal with that at the collegiate level in certain aspects where I'm not taken seriously. I took a pride pep band to something, and I was completely overlooked. The person we were coordinating with only spoke to the drum major. I'm sitting there in like a full suit, and I was like, hello, I'm the staff member with them, but that's cool, don't mind me. So I don't know, I try not to let it bother me too much. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna do my thing and be awesome, so
Right.
whatever.
Like, girl, stay over there. Let me just do my job. Yes.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this on the podcast in previous episodes, is that because they would see me as being a Black person, Black conductor, and it's like, you're the band director, like, of this school? And I'm like, yeah, I am actually, and I'm doing a great job. I'm gonna do what I can do, what I love to do. So, and I think we've all had these conversations about this throughout our past, and I just know for us and anybody who's listening, just do the best that you can do, and don't care what nobody else say, because we don't even care about the rest of them. Okay, we really don't.
And I have something else to say about this. It kind of goes back to something that Dr. William Lake talked about when he was here. He was talking about we were talking about we also had a Dr. Golden on, Ars Golden on as well. And what he said was really profound, because it kind of talks about allyship a little bit and why allies are so important, because you have people in those places, in those high places, who can help bring in the people who they see are less represented than they are. So he's like, as a Black man, I still have more opportunities than Dr. Golden because she's a Black female. So my job is to go into those areas and make room for her. And so it is not only the people who go through the battles who have to work through it. It's also the people around you who, if they're truly your allies, truly people who want to see you succeed, they're going to be the ones who say, this is my friend here. They're a part of this. Like, you talk to them as well. And you know the difference between the ones who say, just do this, or, keyboard warriors, versus the one who put in action, and you'll see it. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Oh, no, that's, oh my gosh, that's so true. And yes, I 100% agree with you. You figured out real fast who is actually there on your side. And sometimes that can be kind of detrimental. I don't want to say detrimental, that's too strong of a word, but a really disappointing experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody you thought had your back, and you're like, oh, okay, great, that's fine. But exactly. Yeah, I 100%, that's fantastic. I totally agree. That's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels so great to see you doing all the amazing things that you are doing, just being who you are. When you're genuine, like, you seem like one of the most genuine people who's out there in our field. I'm not surprised that you are as successful as you are. So just thank you.
Thank you, guys. There are days I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm almost done with my doctorate. Like, how did I can't believe I'm here. And I can't believe, I was just talking to my good friend, Tim, who actually, his job was just announced today. He's going to be the new assistant at McNeese State.
I saw.
Yeah, Tim Purdue, one of my really good friends and colleagues in the studio, super talented guy. And he and I were talking the other day, like, I can't believe we're here. This is like what we've dreamed about and worked for. And yeah, it's really, really weird, but really exciting. And I'm just a big nerd. Like, I just love what I do. And I don't
So
know.
what are some of your expectations? I mean, you're a done master's, almost done with DMA, and now you have a job. You're the new assistant band director. So like, what are your expectations? Are you like excited? Are you ready? Are you like nervous? Probably
Oh
all.
man. Well, it's like it's all the things. I'm excited, I'm nervous. I can't wait though. I mean, it's the exact same feeling I had getting out of undergrad. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Let me at him. Let me at him. I'm so ready. I'm so excited. And then I'll never forget my first day teaching. All those middle schoolers came running in, and I was like, hold on, where's the adult? Hold on.
Me, I was like, oh.
I know, and I had that second of like, oh, here it goes, it's real. And so I know I'm gonna have that as soon as I, get in front of people that kind of saw it. But I'm so excited. Of course, I'm nervous. I don't know exactly what I'm getting into. I'm new to the collegiate world in terms of teaching and holding a position, but just so grateful that I get to do this. It doesn't seem real. I feel like kind of like I'm rambling now about, and I feel really silly saying all this, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, and really looking forward, honestly, to coming home and having such a great network of friends and colleagues. Like, I can't tell you how many friends called or texted and were like, oh, I can't wait to see you. Hey, come work with my band. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do band. Let's have fun. Here we go.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, as we are closing up, I just wanted to ask if you had any advice for upcoming musicians that are, thinking about, going down this road, the path that you went down. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say this is kind of cliche, but dream big. Don't be afraid to dream big. I definitely had people along the way, a couple I can think of in particular, who were like, you sure you want to do this? I don't know if you're ready for this. And then I was like, okay, well, here we go. We're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
So dream big, but at the same time, and I'm still working on this for myself, be present. I told myself, if I just fall in love with my high school teaching job, I won't be mad if I don't go to graduate school. But enjoy the ride, focus on making great music and connections with your students. And I don't know, it all boils down to be a good person and work hard, and you're gonna have a blast making music. So that's my advice. It feels a little cliche, but
yeah. So true though. So yes. True.
So true. So can you just tell our audience where they can find you, just in case they want to reach out and anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I have 2 accounts. I need to delete one. I made one for like my band kids and parents when I was teaching high school. That was like all band announcements. I haven't used it in a long time, but so I'm on Facebook, Hannah Rudy. It's my headshot, I think, is the picture on there. So feel free to friend me, reach out to me on there. And yeah, I guess I have Instagram. I'm not really great at checking it because I'm old, but feel free to get in touch, because I love to talk to other musicians, especially up and comers, and just encourage everybody as best I can. So I appreciate you guys so much for having me on here. I'm so touched that you wanted to talk with me today. It's just so much fun.
That was
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to our audience members, thank you for listening. Please go check out Hannah. She's doing some fantastic things. Please, we're all now part of her tribe and on her journey with her. So please go reach out. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of our Summer Spotlight series. See you next week. Bye.